Let me start off by asking you a few questions. Do you have any deaf or hard of hearing students in your district? Have you ever had to work with an educational interpreter or have one report to you? Have you ever had to work with a student who is deaf or hard of hearing? Do you know how to support an educational interpreter to ensure they are successful? Even if you have never experienced this situation, I am happy that you have taken the time to learn a little bit more about my research related to the working relationships between educational interpreters and their administrators. Let's take a step back for a moment and clearly define what an educational interpreter is. An educational interpreter ensures that deaf and hard of hearing students are involved in the classroom culture by interpreting any information that is heard or seen. This could include, but is not limited to, classroom instructions, dialogue between students and staff, and any other sounds. Also, it is important to know that for the purpose of my research, the term administrator was used to encompass anyone that an educational interpreter would report to or someone that they would consider their supervisor. The findings from my research show that working relationships between educational interpreter and their administrators greatly vary across the United States. Overall, there are three themes that need to be addressed in order to advance the working relationships between educational interpreters and their administrators. These themes were personality traits, establishing, growing, and maintaining relationships, and the title, role, and responsibility of the administrator that is supervising interpreters. To start off, educational interpreters were asked to describe their personality as well as the personality of their administrator. Their responses were then analyzed on a lexical level using the Big Five personality theory. The results showed that both educational interpreters and their administrators scored the same in all five categories. The five categories and their results were high openness, high conscientiousness, high extroversion, high agreeableness, and low neuroticism. By scoring the same in all five categories, it can create a culture of success for some, while others may find it challenging to work with someone who has the same personality as them. Being aware of other personalities is key to creating strong working relationships. Developing strong relationships and connections can be a struggle. In order to create these relationships, both parties must be willing to communicate effectively. While individuals are communicating, the magic key to success is mutual knowledge sharing. We know that not everybody is an expert of working with educational interpreters or even deaf and hard of hearing children. However, it is important to listen to the knowledge that they have to share related to their job. This knowledge sharing is also applicable to administrators. Oftentimes, they are privy to information due to their status or role. That information and knowledge must be shared to inform the educational interpreter about their decision. Overall, clear, honest, and open communication helps develop these working relationships. Lastly, the biggest challenge that interpreters shared was the wide range of titles in the administrators and the knowledge that these individuals hold related to interpreting or working with deaf and hard of hearing students. This survey found that there were a total of 35 different titles and roles that were used to supervise interpreters. These roles are all holding a variety of positions throughout the hierarchy of public education. Some have knowledge of working with an interpreter, while some do not understand the job of an educational interpreter. Working to find a supervisor with some knowledge is ideal, but also finding someone who is willing to take the time to learn is a step in the right direction. In order to establish, grow, and maintain working relationships between educational interpreters and their administrators, there is still work that needs to be done. We must all come together to intentionally work on building our relationships. Positive working relationships between educational interpreters and their administrators will greatly benefit the deaf and hard of hearing children in your district. Thank you for attending today. I hope this research has sparked something inside of you to want to establish, grow, or maintain a working relationship with an educational interpreter that you may know currently or may encounter in the future. Please feel free to reach out to me with any questions that you may have. I would be happy to chat. Also, attached is the link to my thesis, where you can find a more in-depth explanation of all of the points mentioned here today, as well as sources for the information shared in this presentation. Thank you.